What's up, everybody, and welcome inside the League Unlock. I hope you're all in a good mood because it is Friday, and typically statistics prove that everyone's happier on a Friday because they're that much closer to the weekend. I don't know if I believe that because I don't believe in a lot of these surveys and statistics that people are outputting, but nonetheless, I'm happy because we get more LCK action on a Friday. SKT taking on the undefeated Griffin from the challenger scene. 4-0 start to their first LCK split. And Faker, Bang, Blank, and Wolf all back in the lineup for Game 1 against Griffin, which is what everyone was hoping to see. Also, what they were hoping to see is Faker on the Yasuo, which is exactly what they got, and Viper running the Kaisa on the final comp for Griffin. And 5 minutes in, what is this? Blank being proactive in the early game. He flashes in on Chovy, who's playing that Lulu in the bottom lane, and gets first blood. Blank, he's not AFK, he's actually playing the game. 19 minutes now, SKT up 4K. They get the initiate on swords. Mundo Tall is gonna get a dunk here on the downright Darius, and Viper dives in for a kill on Wolf, but Darius is going to finish him off with the dot there. That's a 2-for-1 for SKT looking good early on. 25 minutes now, Griffin grabs an Infernal, but Faker goes for the flash last breath on two members, the key two members, Chovy and Viper. Those are the mechanics we want to see. That's why he plays carry champions. Double kill for him, 3 kills for SKT. 33 minutes now, SKT looking for their third inhib. Faker is going to get taunted by Lehens here, and he gets chunked. He throws down the wind wall to survive, and it's not quite going to be enough. SKT overextend a little bit. Viper dives into the back line. That Kaisa is coming online. He's going to clean up this fight and grab a triple. All that matters in these team fights is kill Viper. Kill the Kaisa. They can't do it in that one. 36 minutes now. Griffin again defending. Viper lands the Void Seeker and jumps in 1v4. And with an absolutely disgusting amount of shields, he evaporates all of SKT. They eventually are going to chase down everyone and just clean this up. They don't have enough damage to take him down with the Braum, with the Lulu, with the Shen. They chase down Bang. That's a 4-for-1 for Griffin, and they take the gold lead. Couple minutes later, Wolf gets caught out. Zanya's is not going to be enough, my man. Faker is going to get another 3-man ulti, including Viper, but he has just so much sustain from his team that he's going to stay alive, and yet again, he cleans up the fight for Griffin. That's another big win for them. That's down 2 inhibs and a Nexus turret. Griffin comes all the way back to steal Game 1 from SKT. They execute the Kaisa comp perfectly. Viper finishes up the game with a 12-3-8 scoreline. Take note, EU, NA, any other region. That is how you play a funnel comp. Game 2, no subs for either team. This time, it's Tarzan on the carry with the Yi Turret combo. SKT counters with Jax Trundle in the mid 2v2, and 4 minutes in, they win that 2v2. Faker lands the counter strike, and Blank takes down Tarzan. Jax mid, that's a nice little throwback. 8 minutes in now, SKT starts the Infernal, but Lehens is going to come in and steal it with an auto attack. SKT can't kill the Yi in this one. That's 3 kills and the Dragon for Griffin. Ooh, that's bad, especially that early on. Not a good start for SKT in this one. 23 minutes. SKT engages on Tarzan. Faker's counter-strike misses. Chovy comes in time to land the Cosmic Radiance. And then it's clean up city for the Griff boys. They grab 2 kills and turn it around to turn onto that big purple worm. They start up the Baron, and SKT is going to try and contest 3v5, but they just end up giving more kills over to Griffin with 4 dead. It's going to be an easy pickup of the Baron for the former Challenger squad. They'd close it out with that buff in 27 minutes in convincing fashion to stay perfect on the year in the LCK. 5-0, and SKT, after looking so promising in Game 1, so many positives you could take from that, they dropped both games. Clean sweep for Griffin, and they are now 0-4 on the 2018 summer split. Again, a lot of positives to take from SKT. They had a substantial lead in that first game. Blank was actually in the game, actually making plays. You had Faker on a carry champion in Yasuo, looking pretty solid throughout the majority of that game. He did overextend a little bit in one of those fights, which ultimately led to the comeback for Griffin. But overall, fantastic play on that Yasuo. So some positives, but they get nothing to show for it. Can't even win a game in the series. They fall to 0-4. It's definitely starting to be panic time for SKT. Griffin, I want to give a lot of credit to them because they ran that Kai'Sa comp perfectly. Every other region should be taking notes. They played that super well. And then they turn it around the next game and show that they don't just have one guy they can build a comp around. It's Tarzan who gets the Yi in game 2, and he performs fantastically on that as well. So, I mean, overall, Griffin just looks fantastic and like a legitimate threat in the LCK because they have so many roles where they can carry from. Chovy was dominating in week 1, and, you know, he was kind of on backseat duty in these matchups. Tarzan and Viper were shining, but they basically have 3 roles where it can carry and take over a game. I'm excited to see what this team can do for the rest of the LCK split in summer, and excited to see if SKT can get a win. Second game in the LCK on day 2 was MVP taking on Jin Air. Jin Air, much like SKT, unable to win a game so far, or unable to win a series so far. MVP looking a little bit better as of late, and game 1, they really wanted to showcase that they're potentially a playoff threat going forward. Teddy on the Irelia, Malphite top for ADD, and I love seeing some Pyke in the LCK for Max. 11 minutes, they're already up 2K. Here's the Pyke mechanics with the Phantom Overtow, but Ian steals the kill. Share the gold, let your support steal the kill. 17 minutes, big lead for MVP. How big, you ask? Well, it's big enough for a Malphite to 1v1 a Cassiopeia. He dodges the Petrifying Gaze, steps back on the pillar. Flash and Cleanse is not going to be enough for Grace. Clearly, Malphite is a completely busted champion. Not only does he get the kill on Cassio, but he gets away from the Trundle as well. This game was mainly about Ian Zoe getting insanely ahead, and really across the board, MVP outclassed Jin Air in every aspect, every facet of the game. 12K gold lead at 21 minutes. You're forced to face check on the Baron. They ended with almost a 20K gold lead before 25 minutes when they were closing out the game. So just a masterclass performance from MVP, and Jin Air struggles continue in game 1, but luckily for them, it is a best of 3. Game 2, Grace gets the Zoe this time, and Teddy is on an actual AD carry, something that he's going to be more familiar with in the Kai'Sa. 12 minutes, we got a scuffle around the Herald. Grace gets engaged on, he pops the Zanyas, and it doesn't go so hot for Jin Air. Even though he gets the Zanyas, he's still going to go down 2-for-1 for MVP. But Teddy is going to try and save this fight. Again, he's on a champion he's actually comfortable with. He's going to fade away, run away, flash out, and get the snipe on Yondu. But MVP chases him down. Pilot gets the kill eventually, and it's going to be a 3-for-1. 28 minutes, Max catches out Teddy, and Pilot blasts him to the moon. That's the main damage for Jin Air gone. They grab Nova for good measures, and with 3 Mountain Drakes, MVP closes it out in a clean 2-0, and they move above 500 at 3-0, and Jin Air joins BBQ in the gutter at 0-5 to start the 2018 summer split. MVP looking a lot better lately, and much, much, much better than they did in the 2018 spring split. And the fact that Griffin's looking so good, it makes sense that they knocked them out in the promotion tournament, and then obviously MVP went down and took out Kongdu to requalify for summer. But they're looking like a team that could maybe make some legitimate noise coming into the playoffs, maybe fight for that final spot. Luckily for Jin Air and SKT, one of them is going to get a win this weekend because they play each other on Sunday. So maybe we get the happy play-in, or maybe SKT fans can finally rejoice because one of them is going to be getting a win. Coming up after the break, Jensen makes some noise for the C9 Academy boys, and Rekkles is the latest man to get benched. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to League Unlock on another lovely Friday, because as I mentioned before, every Friday is lovely because we're all just sitting here grinding out and living for the weekend. Those are the mottos to live by. We already went through some LCK action, and it is now the League of Benching. Faker got back into the lineup recently. Obviously, it all started with the C9 boys being benched, and they're still playing in the Academy League to start Week 2. They are currently listed as the subs for week 2 of the LCS, and the fact that they played on Cloud9's Academy team on Thursday really points towards the fact that we won't see the 3 starters in the NALCS action for week 2, but they were playing 100 Thieves Academy and Levi, who got #1 in NA solo queue recently. Jensen, Sneaky, and Smoothie. And Sneaky got to play an actual AD carry this time. He was on the Lucian, but early on, he gets a little caught out without Smoothie there to support him, and Rekkles going to flash under turret for first blood to take down the Lucian. 9 minutes in, Jensen playing Yasuo on this one. He gets the clean engage on Linsanity, and he'd go for the easy pickup and get C9's first kill. 14 minutes, 100 Thieves decide, let's send 3 guys at the mid lane to take down Jensen. But Smoothie comes in with a stand united, and Blabber lands a nice Glacial Prison. That's going to be a turnaround for Cloud9. 3 for 0, and Jensen manages to ever so slightly stay alive thanks to the triumph from the kill. 21 minutes now, C9 on the Baron. Jensen tosses the last breath over the wall for the double knockup. Goodbye, Levi and Stunt. C9 grab the Baron uncontested, easy peasy. Couple minutes later, Stunt tries an engage, but 100 are just way too far behind. Blabber eventually going to pick up a double kill on the Sejuani, something we haven't seen in a pretty long time in this meta. And Cloud9, they are just incredibly ahead at this point. They can easily dive past an inner turret. Even the likes of a tanky Mundo will eventually go down. He is no match because they're so far ahead. Sneaky cleans up Rekkles for a double kill, and they close this one out before 20 minutes. 15 kills to 1 on that one, and Cloud9 Academy moves to 2-1. That's the kind of game you'd expect to see when you have star players playing in the Academy League. That's how you'd expect them to dominate some of these lesser tier teams, because again, it's basically the B League in the Academy League. So you'd expect Cloud9 to roll undefeated and completely clobber the competition on the way. They looked a little fishy in their first 2 games, but now they move to 2-1. And Jensen clearly looking to prove that he deserves and is working hard to reattain that starting mid lane spot for Cloud9. He's been grinding hard in solo queue, and he's looking really solid in the Academy League so far. But again, they are still currently listed on LoL Esports as subs heading into week 2. So it looks like Golden Glue, Zazal, and Keith are going to be starting again in week 2 for Cloud9 in the main roster for the LCS. The benching has now spread to Europe. We saw Rekkles play Janna and Karma in week 1, and now Young Buck, head coach or manager, team manager of Fnatic, has announced that the lineup for week 2 is going to be Soaz, Broxa, Caps, Bwipo, and Hylissang. That is 2 top laners that they're going to be sending in there. That's right. Both their top laners. No Rekkles is going to be going there. So very interesting. Obviously, seeing Rekkles on those supportive champions in week 1 was already, a bit of a, surprise, because that's not what you're expecting to see out of him. Obviously, he has been the main carry on Fnatic for years now, and it's just a little bit questionable to see him playing these supportive champions. But, I guess this is what Fnatic's trying. They want to try some different styles in this meta and see exactly what's going on with different team comps. I get why they're doing it, because it opens up champion pools. When you're playing something like Swain in the bottom lane, obviously Bwipo is going to be more comfortable on that than Rekkles. But I mean, at some point, they're going to have to figure out how to do this team comp, these different team comps, because you want Rekkles in that lineup going forward, because he is the featured carry on here. So an interesting move by Fnatic, but I don't think it's nearly as much of a concern as the likes of benching Faker or what C9's been doing with Sneaky, Jensen, and Smoothie. This is not really a concern at all, I don't think. I mean, the meta is still kind of figuring itself out, and this is just something that Fnatic's kind of rolling with the punches. Hopefully this storm rolls over and they can kind of figure out what exactly the top picks are going to be going forward. And again, Swain and Vladimir, something Bwipo has played before, much more than Rekkles would, so he's going to be more comfortable on it, and it's just adapting to the meta. So I'm okay with Fnatic doing this, and I kind of actually like it. Why put Rekkles and make him suffer on some of these champions he's not comfortable playing when you can just sub him out and hope that the meta turns around? Because the only problem is now, you know, they're not playing any AD carries this week. And when Rekkles comes back in the lineup, you ban Kai'Sa, you ban Lucian, you ban Ezreal, and it's like, uh-oh, well, now he's forced onto these more uncomfortable picks. So it makes you a little bit predictable depending on what lineup you're sending out there. But I think Rekkles will become more comfortable. And I can't imagine the meta is going to stick like this forever. So Fnatic just rolling with the punches and going forward, I think I like it. I like it, and we'll see how they perform in week 2. The 2018 Asia Games, we haven't heard much about them, mainly because you haven't actually been able to watch any of the games because the VODs have not been released, and apparently they're not even going to be releasing all the matches. They'll be releasing something like 20 out of the 30 or something like that. But the qualifying is done. It's finished up. It ended with South Korea taking the top spot at 8-2. There was a 3-way tie between Taiwan, China, and South Korea. They all played each other, and Korea ended up coming out first, winning those tiebreakers. Taiwan finished second, and China, which again is mostly made up of RNG members, the guys who won at MSI, come in third. All 3 of them qualify and will advance. There they all are, hanging out with a cool little banner. But I mean, obviously not surprising to see South Korea take first. Taiwan always seems to perform well in these group stage events. We've seen tons of different international competitions, but they're all through to the next round. You also saw in those standings that Vietnam qualified from Southeast Asia at 11-0. The Vietnamese team, by the way, is just the EVOS roster. Just across the board, all the guys from EVOS, again, the squad who made some noise at MSI. Obviously didn't get out of groups, but played spoiler a little bit and actually looked like a pretty legit squad. Vietnam is getting close to being considered as one of those major regions. So they're going through, they're through the qualifiers as well. And maybe those VODs will finally come out because, I mean, who wants to watch basically all-star teams out of the arguably 3 best regions in the world right now? Who wants to see that? So I'll be excited to actually see those VODs, but it is a whole lot less interesting when you already know all of the results. But the rest of the Asia Games doesn't get going for a couple of months towards the end of the summer, all those knockout stages. Hopefully by then, we'll be able to finally watch those games and see how they play out because you know it's going to be interesting, and it is a momentous moment, a big moment for esports as a whole. So it's going to be very interesting to check out. Coming up after the break, we're going to take a look at week 2 of the NALCS, take a look at some of the odds, and make our picks for the interesting matchups. Welcome back, everybody, to League on Lock. My name's Eric, and the weekend is just around the corner, which means NALCS action. We looked at some EU picks yesterday. They are getting going today, and now it's time to look at NA, which gets going on the Saturday. We're going to make some picks, and we're taking a look at the odds from Bet365, who the favorites are heading into week 2, and the opening match on day 1 on the Saturday. You've got the CLG Liquid matchup, which is immediately an interesting one. Liquid are the favorites on this one. They got dumpstered by Golden Guardians, which, you know, is a little bit questionable, but I mean, you got to give them a pass. They're the defending champs. CLG actually looked pretty good in both of their games. They had a nice lead against TSM, so I might actually go CLG on this one. In fact, I am going to go CLG in this one just because I'm a little scared that Liquid got so manhandled by the Guardians. I know they look good against 100 Thieves, but I think CLG is going to be performing much closer to how they did to close out the spring split than they did to start, because they had 2 pretty tough matchups and looked pretty decent in both of them. Second match is TSM Clutch, and TSM obviously going to be big favorites in that one because they looked so dominant in week 1. But if we go back to 2018 spring, you remember Clutch, the only team to 2-0 TSM in the regular season. Obviously, one of those games featured a lot of Apollo, Baron, and objective steals on that Ezreal, but they were the only team to 2-0 them. nonetheless, I still like TSM in that matchup because they look like a pretty well-oiled machine in week 1, especially considering it was the first time Greg was on stage with the team, and he performed pretty darn well. If he keeps playing like that, I don't think Mike Young is going to be seeing a whole lot of stage time on the LCS, so I don't see any reason for TSM to kind of fall off. And you know they want revenge against Clutch for going 5-0 against them if you count that quarterfinals, or 5-1 against them for that huge upset in the quarterfinals. They want some revenge, and I think they're going to be getting it in week 2. Third match of day 1, you got Optic and Echo Fox, which is the biggest mismatch on paper the odds makers are saying, with Echo Fox coming in as those massive favorites, biggest favorites of the weekend, and probably deservedly so. I think they're going to absolutely clobber Optic. I'm excited to see Huni play off role, or maybe actually play his main role finally, because in that top lane matchup, Huni versus Dokla is probably the biggest mismatch of any position in the entire NALCS. So Fox probably going to come away with a big win there. 100 Thieves taking on FlyQuest in Game 4. 100 Thieves had a tough opening schedule. They went 0-2. Expect them to bounce back against FlyQuest. I really think FlyQuest is they might be a bottom 2 team going forward. The roster changes I'm not fully confident in. I think 100 Thieves, when they have an easier matchup like that, they're going to bounce back, get their first W of 2018 summer. And the last match on day 1, you saw the question marks. The odd makers are too scared to give you those odds because they're not 100% sure who's going to be in that starting lineup for Cloud9. Is it going to be Jensen, Smoothie, and Sneaky, or the Academy guys who started in week 1? I already mentioned earlier on the show that the guys from the Academy League, Golden Glue, Keith, and Zazal are listed as the starters. So I expect them to be there, but I still think that they're going to come up with a win against Golden Guardians because Golden Glue was looking pretty solid in week 1, getting solo kills on Febivin. Let's look at day 2 in the NALCS opening match. You got Optic taking on FlyQuest. Not exactly a barn burner. FlyQuest actually favorites in this one. I'm not sure I fully agree with that. I think Optic's going to come away with that win. Power of Evil looked great in week 1, much like he did throughout 2018 spring. He's just trying to 1v9 and carry some bodies to victory. I think he'll do it against FlyQuest. Second match, C9 100 Thieves. Again, who knows what the odds are, but I think 100 Thieves going to get a 2-0 week because I do expect Golden Glue, Keith, and Zazal to be playing, and I think 100 Thieves are better than that iteration of the Cloud9 roster. The matchup of the weekend, Team Liquid, TSM, the Vengeance matchup. 1-1 last split, and then, you know, TSM came away with the tiebreaker. I think they have another 2-0 week. It's a rough 0-2 week for Liquid, but I expect TSM to come ahead and prove that they're out for blood here in 2018 summer. Fourth match, you got Clutch taking on CLG. This is an interesting one because the odds makers have it as pretty much a toss-up. Both teams in the negative here. I think Clutch comes away in a close match to take down CLG and go 1-1 on the week. And to close out the week, you got another easy match for Echo Fox. I mean, they're the 2 biggest favorites for each day because they have about an easiest schedule as you can get, taking on Optic and Golden Guardians. Fully expect them to go 2-0 this week and put up another stellar performance against some of those squad. And that's it. Those are your picks for week 2 in the NALCS. That's all the time today for League Unlocked. Check us out on Twitter and YouTube at Believe It or Not, League Unlocked. My name's Eric. Thanks guys for watching. We'll see you next time.